Друзья, всех приветствую, с вами Паприка. Сегодня я хочу показать вам, как мы захватываем логово Гидры и очищаем этого исполина. Перед началом рейда наш лидер дает голосовые инструкции по успешному прохождению этого ивента. Так что данное видео вполне можно считать гайдом. Ставьте лайки под видео, если оно вам оказалось полезным. Подписывайтесь на мой канал и жмите на колокольчик, чтобы не пропустить новости. Поехали!
Yeah, all right. I mean, I think this one's pretty straightforward. I mean, relatively straightforward. So, like I said before, the two tanks that we're going to use are going to be Gobta and Boladon, depending on whether or not Boladon's on the toilet or not when we do this. The tanks are going to set up in the back of the lair. So once we walk in, I mean, ideally we'll try to spread ourselves out on the sides and in front. The tanks will walk around the back. Gobta, between you and Baladon, it's up to you guys who wants to start first, if you just want to call it out. So there's a couple different mechanics that folks need to pay attention to. There's two different types of stones. The one that you're going to see more often are going to be these stones that shoot out from the Hydra and they have a countdown on them, like a timer. Those are the ones that, if you pick it up, two things happen. You get a 25% damage increase, but you also get an additional stack of poison. So really the key to winning this fight is managing your poison. Because every 20 seconds or so, you'll see at the bottom of the Hydra's name has this blast ability. I always forget the name every time I'm in the moment here. It does Agony Blast, and it will do 1% of your troop count plus additional damage for every stack of poison you have. So in the strategy, I had said, if you see those stones appear, ideally, the folks who are usually at the top of the damage rankings should try to get those stones first. So if you're unsure if you should pick it up or not, just give it a second. If you see some people moving towards the stones, just let it be and keep attacking the boss. But if you see a stone kind of hanging out and no one's claiming it, if you have a high enough troop count, feel free to go and grab it. We're just going to continue to DPS the boss. And then when the cracks form in the map, folks who've seen the video will be familiar with, it's a little ring that looks like the ground is cracked, and it'll have an orange circle around it. We're going to need everybody to spread out and cover or stand on each of those circles. And what I'll say is, if you're the first person onto a circle, please just stay there. I know how much more fun it is to, go run up closer to the boss and attack it, but if you're on a circle, just stay on the circle.
We're friends now.
Because any circle that's left without anyone standing on it, it's going to deal damage to the entire team. And that's going to hurt a lot. So make sure all the circles are covered. You'll know it's covered when the outside turns green. So let's make sure every single circle that pops up on the ground has a green ring around it. There's also going to be mana, like healing stones that showed up, kind of like with the Thunder Rock. Those also have to be purified. I think it's only 8 or 10 people need to do it. So recommendation is just run to the closest one from you and purify it. I think even if you're not a part of the purifying, as long as you're in the circle, you'll get healed. So try to make sure you get to a mana stone so you can get healed, because you're going to take damage this entire fight, whether you like it or not, because of the poison. And then the only other piece to keep an eye out for is, again, if you've seen the video, you'll see these sort of green sort of poison kind of shoot out from the Hydra and start heading towards people. If you're in the path of it, you'll take damage. So if you don't care, you can just stand there and take it. If you're far enough away and you see something coming at you, do your best to try to sort of step out of the way. But aside from that, I think, Gobta, between you and Boladon, ideally we'd like to keep the Hydra in a fixed position towards the back of the lair as long as we can. just so folks are able to stay spread out and not get hit with that other ability. That last ability, I think, is the one that hurts the most. You'll see it kind of looks like a half circle, and it'll be in front of the Hydra, and the whole ground is going to glow red. If you see him charging that up, run behind him, or run, outside of the range. If you're a tank, preferably run backwards. If you're anybody else, run behind the Hydra. So, to summarize, pick up the stones for more damage, purify the mana stones to heal and remove your poison, make sure everybody steps on a crack, and dodge the green shooty things. I don't know what the correct term for that is, but it really also shouldn't be super complicated. Just make sure that even if you don't want to, if you're like, oh, I don't want to go purify a mana stone, go over to it because the heal is pretty big, and you'll definitely be thanking me later for getting that heal off by participating in that. Any questions?
If you pick up one of the red stones to get the 25% boost, but if you go and pick up a green mana stone, it's going to knock off that boost.
Yes, correct. So yeah, that's the more sort of nuanced piece of it. So if you have, let's say you're running like a Hosk secondary, and they're whoever is bought into VIP and they have all this extra troop capacity. If you have a big march and you don't have that much, you're not taking that much damage, you can choose not to purify the mana stone so you can keep that damage buff. I think for the normal version, if people are a little bit sort of nervous about taking that damage over the course of the fight, it's probably better that they just go and purify the mana stone. But if you're feeling good and you just want to take that 25% damage and send it, then by all means don't purify the stone. Because yes, if you do purify the mana stone, you will lose that 25% damage bonus. So, folks like, I don't know if everyone's here, I'll just shout out names from our last couple attempts. So, like, Bobby, Jeeds, R Warrior, Cams, XCS, players that are consistently at the top of the damage table. If you have a lot of troops, don't purify the healing stone, and you'll be able to keep your 25% damage bonus. So I'm just going to go on mute for the next minute, and then we'll set up. And as always, the fight does not start in terms of damage until the tanks have walked in and initiated aggro.
It's just the mana stone, but being in the green circles will help with the poison.
Yeah, I don't know, God, did you know for sure if purifying it or just standing in the circle is what removes the poison?
When you gather it, if you...
So if you're one of the 10 people?
If you're in the central area.
Oh, okay. All right. So if you're in the radius of the mana stone, it will remove your poison, even if you're not one of the 10 people. All right. We'll get ready to walk in, and I'll do a ready check before we get started. Try to disperse yourselves around
Where are we marching
sort of the lower half of the map, and the tanks will walk to the top.
Still look the same under the moonlight?
Let me just clear some markers.
On guard.
You want us to keep him in the middle, or do you want us to drive him towards the wall?
If you could just pull him back just a little bit, just so it gives folks more time to react to those green sort of poison trails that shoot at people. Does that make
Alright.
sense?
Yeah.
Just gonna top off my glass of wine before we get this going. I don't have any homemade moonshine, but if anyone wants to send me some, I won't complain.
I hear you.
Alright, I'm just gonna, before we start, I just want to do a quick troop count check and just make sure that, you know, we have good troop counts in all of these marches. Bear with me for a moment. Alright, I'm going to do a ready check. Alright, who am I waiting on? Alright, we got 40 ready to go. Again, please wait until Gobta has aggro before everything starts, and then please try to keep voice chat quiet during the raid just so we can call out stuff for people to react to. Gobta, when you're ready. Wait a second, please. Alright, folks can go. Burn all of your artifacts early.
I await your order.
Make sure folks are picking up those damage stones.
Clan Kalanadal never retreat.
Yikes. Make sure folks are picking up stones.
I accept your
They're gonna explode if they don't get picked up.
Clan Kalanadal never retreat.
Alright. Make sure all the circles are
Where are
covered.
we marching to?
If you get to one, just stay on it. Cover that back one, please. Thank you. Don't move, folks.
On guard. I accept your challenge.
Alright, let's purify it. That was easier than I thought it was going to be. Alright, that was that was easy. I mean, I took a fuckload of damage, but seems like a lot of people were pretty healthy, so that's good.
Yeah, that was like really easy.
But like even in that span of time, like I went from 125k to 40k because people weren't picking up stones. So I think for the elite version, we're just gonna cross out having high damage folks take priority and just make sure that all the stones are picked up because they also explode too.